Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Boxing Nuke.
Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome the fuck back. We have breaking news. Mikey Garcia is going to face Richard Commey next, not Errol Spence Jr. This is according to ESPN.com. Unfortunately, it looks like here he just was not able to get a deal set with Errol Spence Jr., so he will be facing Richard Commey next. The date has not yet been determined, whether that'll be this year or next. I'm thinking that more than likely it'll probably be the last quarter of this year at some point on another card. Richard Commey, let's just get a little bit about him. He's 27 wins, 2 defeats with 24 knockouts. He has a high knockout percentage. He is from Ghana. His last 3 fights were all victories. His last 2 fights in particular were stoppages, in which he got the win inside the distance in the 6th and 2nd round, respectively. His 2 losses came by split decision. His one step-up fight was against Robert Easter Jr., in which he lost in a split decision. It was a very close fight. I could see how you could give it to Richard Commey, or you could give it to Robert Easter. But nonetheless, if he didn't stop Easter, he didn't hurt Easter in particular, there's no fucking way that he's going to be a challenge or a threat to Mikey Garcia. This is a direct quote from Lou DiBella, and this is an interesting quote from Lou DiBella. "We made a deal for the fight a real deal." He also stated, "Mikey Garcia isn't walking through Richard Commey." And I'm just here to let you guys know that's bullshit. Mikey Garcia is walking through Richard Commey, and if Richard Commey stays going forward, he will fucking get stopped. Mark my words, Richard Commey will get stopped. Mikey Garcia will stop him within 10 fucking rounds. If Richard Commey does not fight on the back foot, he will get stopped quite easily. He will walk right into all of Mikey Garcia's big shots. He does not want any part of Mikey Garcia. Trust me. I think the telling thing about all this is that we didn't get the Errol Spence Jr. fight next like we all wanted. But Mikey Garcia had to take this fight because this is an IBF mandatory. And so he couldn't afford losing the IBF title. Because if you go into an Errol Spence Jr. or a Lomachenko fight, you're going to need that belt just to show that, hey, I'm a champion. Or if you're fighting Lomachenko, you're going to unify. So you definitely need the belts. I understand the move and the decision. Unfortunately, we don't get the Errol Spence Jr. fight. But I think that hurts Errol Spence Jr. more than it does anything with Mikey Garcia. This is just more tune-ups for Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia has been preparing his body for at least the last 6 months. And this is according to Mikey Garcia brother and trainer Robert Garcia, to prepare for a guy like Errol Spence Jr. So the more time that you give this guy to prep for that big fight, the better for Mikey Garcia. In regards to Errol Spence Jr. and who he could be fighting next, now my opinion on this is basically his mandatory for the IBF, and that would be Yordenis Ugas. Now Yordenis Ugas, he's a very, very good fighter, and I will say this. He comes from the Cuban school of boxing. He goes straight to the body, so he's a pretty good body puncher, but he doesn't have elite knockout power to stop anyone. He does have really good boxing ability. His record is 23 wins, 3 losses, 11 knockouts. He's never been stopped in a fight, and so that's pretty good. Since he's moved up to welterweight, he's never suffered a defeat. Basically, his first fight coming at welterweight came in 2016, and I believe his last 8 fights were all victories. So he hasn't suffered any defeats since moving up to welterweight. He's on an 8-fight win streak, and his last, out of his last 3 fights, 2 of them were stoppage wins. His very last fight came in a 12-round unanimous decision, and so he's not basically a flashy type of fighter, a guy that typically gets huge knockouts, but he is a very good boxer. He's very skilled. He does a lot of body work, and so I think him and Errol Spence Jr. will make for an interesting fight. I don't believe he'll beat Errol Spence Jr., but I do believe that he'll give Errol Spence Jr. a nice challenge, a run for his money, and he will show a lot of flaws in Errol Spence Jr. But I ultimately expect Errol Spence Jr. to get the victory. unless Yordenis Ugas can come with a game plan to stay on his back foot, stay out of range, and keep Errol Spence at bay. Really show us the Cuban style of boxing. Hit, don't get hit. make sure you counter a lot and go to the body. He has to hit Errol Spence Jr. with something that's going to hurt him. But ultimately, all that remains to be seen. Once again, it's the IBFP. Please share, like, and you must absolutely subscribe.